And a very good welcome back to you to the Intel Extreme Masters, wait for it, in New York City. Good job, good job. We have to try and keep the rowdy bunch over at the Intel booth slightly quieter than us. You've got to be noisier, all right? We are going to move on to our second quarterfinal. Before we get there, let's check the bracket and just update you. If you missed earlier on, you missed a cracking game. Our first semi-finalist, in straight sets no less, is the one and only 16-year-old Life. We are now going to move on to our second game, and it is going to be an absolute cracker. As we can see, the other two quarterfinals, Hyun and Donregu, Sam versus Naniwa, will also come up a little bit later on. But first, it's time to introduce you to the two players for our second quarterfinal. Ladies and gentlemen, Curious and SOS. Some terrific play by both of these players in the earlier stages, in the group stage in the round of 16. Let's hope this one is just as good. Here's your commentary team for our second quarterfinal.
Thank you, Red Eye. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters New York. I am Nathanius, bringing you this game. With me is Todd.
I'm starting up there today.
Yeah, we've got a pretty intense match coming down. There's so few players left. The action has been just crazy so far today.
Yeah, and with this match, we have another Protoss versus Zerg here. The last match went the Zerg's way, to say the least. But with SOS versus Curious, I'm actually very excited to see how SOS plays this, because SOS played some very interesting Protoss versus Zerg at the last DreamHack, especially versus Jaedong. I think this was one of the best series of the tournament, in my opinion. So I want to see how he plays and how it works out, just because of that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, we're going through the map veto stage right now. I think Curious taking out Akalon Waste. It's one of those maps where it's easier to play the long game, I think, for a Protoss player. Do you think he's a bit worried? Is SOS one of those players we're going to see perhaps more of that heavy macro style come out of him, not so much the aggression?
Yeah, SOS strikes me as one of those players that likes to take a third base more than almost anybody, and I would be very surprised if he throws a lot of all-ins in there. It's also been the way Protoss versus Zerg goes these days. We see a lot less all-ins at high level from a Protoss player, because Zergs, they've learned to deal with a lot of the all-ins that were previously very successful, be it a 7-gate +1 or even 8 gates. The Immortal push, also the Zergs in general, they know how to play against it a lot better nowadays, so I just feel it's a lot less likely than before that we're going to see this kind of play. SOS, actually, against Zerg, I know he favors the Void Ray opener with Stargate, and then double Stargate Void Ray into a quick Twilight, kind of like Naniwa. You know, Naniwa, I would say Naniwa, the player he gets the most inspiration from might be SOS. Like when you see Naniwa play, at least versus Zerg and maybe in some other matchups a little bit too, yeah. You're going to think, wow, he's actually emulating the style of SOS a lot. Yeah,
so heavy Stargate play, you say. Yeah, pretty interesting. We have the map pool set up. So the first map looks like it's going to be, was a Derelict Watcher on the list. So it's a pretty fair pool. Of course, this is a best of 5, so it's going to be going a bit longer than the matches that we've had prior. I haven't really seen too much.
Not necessarily. Could be a 3-0 as well.
Well, and it's always possible. SOS, of course, 19 years old from Wunjin Stars. I haven't actually seen too much of his PVZ so far in this tournament. Did quite well. We saw him play PvP, was defeated by Sam last night. But I'm really interested to see is where exactly this goes. It wasn't quite as sharp. Sam's one of those other scary Protoss players that have been in this bracket. We're getting invited into the game right now. So Derelict Watcher, PVZ, how do you feel about the map that we're taking to start this game off?
It's pretty tough of a map to play on. It's going to be harder than on most maps to take a third base because of that space between the natural and third base where Zerg can get a lot of units and attack at. Curious, I haven't seen him play too much versus Protoss recently, but he's pretty old school. He won Code A a long time ago using a lot of approaches, and he's one of those guys that if you try to chase, he's always going to be able to get enough units out to make sure he can defend. But in the mid-game and late game, he's also very, very strong. Although he's not as known as the very, very top Zergs, he's kind of like the son of Zerg, I'm tempted to say. You know?
So you think maybe a harder player to kill in the early game, So both of these players really seem like we could have a match geared up to go to the late game in all of these maps. I mean, as far as the map pool we have, I know Whirlwind is one of them. What are the odds that one of these players does throw out something very, very fast aggression, like a Speedling Assault that we saw Life try to pull off against Hero in the last game on Whirlwind versus the Gateway Expand? Is that something that could happen? Is SOS really that type of Gateway Expanding player?
It's possible, but Curious is such a good player later on in the game. He uses every unit very well. He's very good at Mutas resistance. And we saw yesterday against Flash that he's one of the best Viper players, in my opinion, there is. And in this matchup, that can mean a lot as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him play Roach, Hydra, Viper, at least in some of those games.
A very standard composition, makes a lot of sense. We're counting down, loading in to the first map of this Protoss versus Zerg. It's Protoss and Zerg players all the way, of course. The last Terran was eliminated, so we didn't. I mean, the only games the most recent that we saw, of course, Curious was versus Flash yesterday. You make a great point about the Mutalist control. He really seemed to handle the endless pressure that came quite well. So I'm wondering if that'll translate over to this match, but we're loaded into the game. Derelict Watcher is the starting point for this second best of 5 of the day. It's gonna be Curious versus SOS. Let's do this. This is the Intel Extreme Masters New York, spawning in the top right position as the red Zerg player. Coming from Team Startail, it is Curious. Had a very good run yesterday. And his opponent spawning in the bottom left position. The blue Protoss player opening up with that pylon in his main base. From Wunjin Stars, it is SOS.
SOS, some of his latest results versus Zerg, most recently at DreamHack Bucharest, he beat Yu-Gi-Oh 2-0, Paranoid 2-0, Solve the Wound 2-0, Jaedong 2-1, and Snoot 2-0, only losing to Hyun in the matchup 0-2. In this tournament, he's beat Revival already with 2-0. I did not manage to catch these games as they were played yesterday while we were casting, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, he seems to be in a great shape against Zerg overall. And I thought he was more of a Forge Expand kind of guy rather than Gate Expand. So when I saw the pylon, I was like, he's probably Gate Expanding. But now I see no Gateway. This might just be the one pylon in the main where he throws down the Nexus at the expansion, gets the Forge in the main, and then starts walling off at his expansion. That makes more sense.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting way to open up. Sometimes, of course, the pylon in the main base can mean the gateway. Sometimes there's that style that was a little bit more popularly used by Hero. We get the Forge in base defensively, but going for this Nexus first on the low ground sends out the relatively quick scout to see what's going on. We have a hatchery first into gas. We could see that spawning pool start up for the Zerg player next. The Forge is on the way in the main base. Does this build give SOS that extra bit of comfort, that defensive setup? Is this gas opening a potential read since he hasn't scouted SOS yet?
Yeah, he could be preparing something here. I think he just wants to get the speed early on. On this map, Gate Expand is very common. Now, I don't know how familiar Curious is with SOS here, and so this could still be anything. I'm not sure how he's going into this match just yet, but I guess opening with a quick gas like he did and getting a quick speed, he's going to be decent against everything. I mean, against Forge Expand, the way SOS did, he's going to fall behind a little bit economically, but it's not going to be the end of the world. He's at least going to have speed and the initiative.
Yeah, and I mean, SOS gets his probe in here. He scouts this. He sees the gas, and he knows what's going on. We see that Curious takes the drones away from the gas mining as soon as he has enough to start that speed. He's not quite as worried about having to get that extra defense up or going for anything beyond that. The gas being taken in the main base, the gateway completing soon. He's getting his cannon, and it looks like SOS kind of changed up the way that he built his original units, but it seems like he's going for the standard Protoss setup. And I'm wondering how common this type of deal is, because the Overlord will see that the natural expansion's been taken for SOS. He hasn't scouted yet if it was that gateway opening, but I'm wondering, is this really as normal that we're seeing from the Zerg player? Is this an ideal setup versus what SOS has gone for, is what I'm really wondering.
I think on this map, we see a lot of Zergs going for the quicker third than this, so getting the speed this early on, I'm really not sure what went through Curious's mind here. Maybe he just wanted to play it safe, and he wasn't sure how his opponent was going to open. Maybe he's just that confident in his mid to late game. Like I talked about, he's very strong in those parts of the game. I'm not saying his early game is bad, but his mid game and late game both are very strong. That's very rare for a player to be strong in every part of the game. Maybe he just wants to make sure he gets there
Yeah, I like that. He takes a little bit of an economic hit at the start of the game to make sure that no matter what, he does get to the point of the game where he becomes strongest. And the speed is finishing up soon. We have that Stargate on the way. You'd kind of mentioned that he likes this. He likes to open up with the Stargate. What I'm really wondering is if, as you said, if we're going to have that Void Ray, if we get the Phoenix, some players like to open up with one Phoenix to scout and then move into the Void Rays. And he's already taken that gas now, moving over towards the natural.
I think it's either 4 Phoenixes into Void Rays or just immediately getting Void Rays. And I wouldn't be surprised if he throws down the second Stargate later on and then gets the Twilight and just stays on 2 Stargates, produces Void Rays continuously while taking a third, and then takes to Charge Lots and Templars possibly.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The Overlord does come in. Manages to scoot by the natural, but it doesn't see the Stargate. A couple Zerglings trying to poke the front, get that vision, still not able to find it. The Phoenix, first one, is about to complete, and he's going to have that targeted straight over to the Overlord. So he will know that the Stargate was here. I'm mostly wondering, as you said, Ty, what comes next? It's immediately that Void Ray follow-up for SOS.
Wow, yeah, so he wants to clear out these Overlords with one Phoenix as soon as he can, and behind this he's going to go for his standard composition with the Void Rays, not waiting any time with the Phoenix. Well, I guess can't really, since he's not getting any more Phoenixes. And from there, does he go into the second Stargate? Does he get a Robo? I guess we are going to find out in a second. That's going to be very important. And on this map, it can be very hard to defend, like I said, between your natural and third. With this strategy, in my opinion, even more so. Fairly quick third base, 7 minutes 30 is going to start warning it off very, very quickly as well. I like the way this is going right now for SOS, but Curious is going to be able to identify this very quickly, and from there, he can decide how he wants to play against it.
I mean, he's been putting out a lot of Zerglings. You have the +1 melee attack on the way, and I think one of the tells is that he knows the Phoenix is real, obviously, killed his Overlord back home, but when you see only one Phoenix as a Zerg player, says, okay, well, what is he doing with the Stargate if he's not continuing to produce Phoenix?
But you know,
does he have Void Rays at home?
He already made the Spores. He made 1 Spore per base, which against 1 Phoenix, you don't need it.
Yeah.
So this is already a bit of a win for SOS here, and as the Zerglings are going to try to get a cancel on third here.
Yeah, comes in. He managed to block off that gateway. Of course, he sees this Void Ray poised defensively. The cannon will complete, but only gets off about 1 shot before it is destroyed. The Nexus is still very close to completing. He's losing most of his defensive setup, but he does keep this Nexus alive. The Void Ray and Mothership Core can clean this up. There's still a good number more Zerglings coming out. 24 in the queue on their way now over towards SOS's third. It's going to take a little bit of nice control to hold this. He's trying to bring these sentries and zealots down the ramp, but he has to watch for a potential run by. There's 2 Void Rays out on the field now to help defend this. Just pure Lynx. He needs to be very cautious about how he holds on here.
The Lynx shouldn't be able to do anything. I'm surprised SOS... Okay, he lost his pylon. He's going to start a cannon on his third base immediately. There is actually a lot of Lynx. If he loses all these probes that he got there, Curious trading Lynx for probes here would be okay. But nice wall off at the third base. This is actually really funny what's happening right now to me, because the usual strategy when you will go for Void Rays like this will be to add 2 extra Stargates and to go for lots of Void Rays.
Yeah.
Plus gate units. Then SOS took it to the next level. He did 2 Stargates and then teched to Twilight Council and Templar Archive. And now he's doing 1 Stargate and then he went into Templar Archive, Twilight Council, Charge Lots. So what's the next step? No more Stargate. Well, straight into Twilight.
Not to see me. He's getting his +2 attack. He's spending a lot of those resources, and he has the gas banked up when that Templar Archives completes. The Void Ray still poking away. Nowhere for these Zerglings to run in. Manages to grab, nary a probe. But the Infestation Pit's on the way as well. The Hydralisk transition, he's getting the +1 missile attacks, the Hydralisk range, and the Roachborn. He's getting ready to completely switch out of this composition. With the Infestation Pit, there's that possibility of going towards the Hive. The Overseer comes in. It actually can come in and get the scouting information. It sees the Twilight Council, sees the Templar Archives, so he knows that that's available. And having that Templar Archives is so nice. With this Infestation Pit, if he goes for a Hive, tries to get Vipers, there's always that option of feedbacks.
Yeah, but I think this is more about having some kind of AoE against huge masses of roaches and Hydralisks. And look how fast this Storm is. This is unbelievable. He's going to have it at 12 minutes.
Yeah, very nice.
Which is usually when a Zerg hits the timing with like a lot more supply than you, say 170.
Yeah, some
nice force fields.
Force fields locking these Zerglings into the third base. Won't be able to do too much. There's not too many more force fields available, but killing off pretty much all of these things. A very nice catch for SOS. Those Zealots doing quite well against the Zerglings. There's no Carapace upgrades, so with that +1 attack, they really chew them apart quickly. And I love the Sim City that SOS has by that third, making it so difficult for Zerglings to get around and dance around that base.
And Curious knows that there is some Templar tech up. He saw the Twilight Council and the Templar Archives. How does he react to this? He has a choice to make here. What does he go into? Does he go into Swarm Host? Does he try to rush to Ultras? Going into Vipers? possibly wouldn't be that smart. He's getting roaches, he's getting some infestors right now, and this is a bit of a weird composition here. I think he might go into a lot of roaches, hydralisks, some infestors in support, because this is very good against a lot of zealots and archons, and he might just try and get a very good concave with which he can fungal a lot of this army of SOS. And if there is a lot of Void Rays, which there aren't that many, he's just going to be able to fungal all of them and win the fight in middle of the map.
Yeah, that's one of the things about this map that I think kind of helps this strategy. Of course, as you said, the infestors are a bit interesting. There is a lot of open space. It's not too hard to spread the units out a little bit, but it will allow those Hydralisks to get the concave that you mentioned. +3 attack is starting for the Protoss player, making a switch, finally building a robotics facility about 13.5 minutes into this game. Hydralisk speed completing soon. That Carapace upgrade for +1 is done. And the infestors are starting to come out. This Zealot trying to secure this tower. A couple Zerglings going towards the south side. There is a 4th base on the way for SOS. He's throwing down some cannons. He has a few Zealots being warped in. Not too much here to deal with this at the moment.
It's going to be okay. Just warping in some Zealots. I would have liked him to wall off his cannons here, but overall, I mean, he's going to have +3 very, well, not very soon, but in a bit. He's got charge loss, so he's going to be okay against any kind of harass like this. And I think Curious is going to be able to hit his first timing here very soon. Maybe he should wait for the reinforcements. He has a few Hydralisks, some Roaches, and some Infestors in the production tab right now that he should definitely wait for. Especially the Infestors at this point.
Yeah, a few units sitting back home, especially the Infestors. And we have a Warp Prism coming out. So this is that point where SOS could start to go for some drop play, try to take the fight to Curious and just hold him back. Because as you said, that army's so strong, the timing is there. And the composition mostly seems to be for SOS right now. It's heavy on the Void Rays. He has Archons, Charge Lots, and Storm. I mean, as far as what can come out from the Zerg player, there's 2 Spires on the way. What is SOS afraid of? Is this a big threat, the Spire switch, when he has a Stargate?
Yeah, I think we might see a big Muta transition here. Because Curious, he's on 8 gases. He's going to want to go up to 10 gases. If he gets a lot of gas saved up, say 1500, he can do a big Muta transition. That will be very hard for SOS to counter in this situation, because he doesn't even have Blink. Winning a fight, though, is going to be the tricky part. It felt like for both players, waiting more rather than fighting as soon as possible was the better choice, up until now. Yeah, now they're going to start to fight. Look at these Templars, they got so much energy.
Yeah, and some nice fungals on the Zealots keep them back, but blanketing these Hydralisks and Roaches. SOS shoving it back, does get a fungal on them. The Void Ray is forced to be pulled to the side to help defend against the Roaches, pressuring that 4th base. It looks like he should be able to keep it, though. The Prismatic Alignment really helping those Void Rays dig in, and the Warp Prism in the main base. There's so many units now charging over towards that lair. He's continuing to press in now. He will also be able to spot the Spires at the same time. This lair should not last too much longer. He's trying to peel Zealots off onto the Spire to knock it down. There's also the Burrow that can be canceled as well. It might be at a different hatchery, but the Hydras are still coming out. He shuts down the lair, really delaying that tech, and I think there was actually double Spire. I don't know if he canceled one of them, but this Spire should not last too much longer, and he's not going to actually be able to put any Mutalisks. He's very low on the gas count. Yes, he does have the other Spire tucked away in that natural expansion.
With an Infestor stuck behind. By the way, did you just say blanketing?
Blanketing, yeah, man.
Okay.
It's like you get smothered with the storms, and then it's all over.
All right. I like how the Warp Prism was saved here, by the way. It's just above the main base of Curious, which was sniped. He could just send it in there later on and warp in some units. Nice Zealot run by. At this point, you don't need to have that many Zealots. Remember San and the way he lost his Zealots and replaced them with better units like Archons.
Yeah, it's really not, because you just trickle down that supply as you acquire the gas. You get the more expensive units. He comes back in, they can get to work in the Evolution Chamber, the Hydral Send, and the Zealots hitting that topside base as well. It looks like there might even be something pinched off towards that 3rd, and he's just all over the place. SOS really starting to peel Curious apart, and as long as he can shut down this base and stay on even economy with his own 4th, he's going to be in a relatively good position. Continue to just put out, he has Immortals in the production tab, and some of the upgrades are still coming in. He's still getting the flyer upgrades, Curious, so he's keeping that option open, but still not able to get too much gas to actually make any type of switch.
Yes. He's playing brilliantly, SOS that is, but Curious, he hasn't lost too much of his army, and he's only lost hatcheries and some production facilities, that's it. His economy didn't really take any hits. Both players had about the same walker count now, and SOS is going to go for the first big attack of the game, I think. Well, first real attack possibly where they fight until somebody wins.
It's a nice push. He's coming in here. He's in IMS base again. The Warp Prism was just picked off in the main base, so some of the units were actually peeled over there. There's no way he can keep this hatchery alive, shutting down the static defense that was set there as well. And it even looked like he ran a unit or two forward into that upper fourth base just to see what was there.
Yes.
The Infestors and Hydralisks are coming up. He has Roach Burrow move. They'll heal even faster, of course. No shenanigans like that.
Oh, he forgot his Mothership Core.
Getting left behind. There's the Time Warps. Shoves the, keeps Curious away. Can't catch up to him quite so fast. Those Infestors are not the fastest unit in the game. But he's actually rebuilding another Spire. He still wants to be on double Spire. He's getting the Flyer Carapace as well. He's keeping his options open to make a switch, not only into Mutalisks, but if he does make that switch, he'll have decent upgrades to go with it.
It really feels like right now, the defensor has a huge advantage, because if you attack into SOS, he's going to feed back and storm your entire army. If you attack into Curious, well, those Fungals, let's just say they're going to hit a lot of those units. And we saw in Life versus Hero how much those Fungals can mean in a big fight. So both players, they don't want to commit to a big fight just yet. But SOS is going to be the one getting the better end of this with some huge Zealot run by, like he's preparing on the bottom right-hand side. He has to be careful, he's going to get Fungal.
Fungal on the Void Rays, he's moving up the ramp. A couple Infested Terrans get thrown forward. The Storm still in the back, throwing down them now over this. Not really hitting too many units with those Storms. Gets a feedback off on an Infestor, not able to kill it. And the Archon giving a little bit of chase. But this army from SOS not able to do too much just yet. He has a big Warped of Zealots with some Dark Templar heading over to the third base. At the same time, finishing up that +3 shield upgrades. And a Warp Prism moving in, canceling the 5th base once again. That Warp Prism, the Infestor's not in position to catch it just yet. It's going to be able to fly by and get in 16 Warp Gates available to just reinforce. He can bring in so many units with the supply that he has available, and he's still pressuring in the Warp in, hitting the main base. That army is still just outside of the 4th. He's pressing into the 3rd. There's so much here for SOS. Warp Prism finally taken out, but he's still pulling Curious everywhere, and some great Fungals pull in, but there's the recall, getting out of there without losing too much and trying to focus down a hatchery once again.
And Curious somehow had a lot of units in his 3rd base defending against those Zealots. That's quite fortunate that he had planned for this. Sadly for him, he's losing his main again. He's going to lose the hatchery, possibly the spawning pool there. The Hydralis then actually might die from the creep being removed here, because since the hatchery died, the Hydralis then was almost bled out earlier.
Yeah, and he did replace the lair, but there's still no hive on the way. He can't get to that highest tier, and importantly, he can't get to the highest level of his upgrades. There's so much here for the Protoss player with the +3 attack, the +2 shields, and the Warp Prism. Again, he's been moving around with these so much in the game, moving over towards that 3rd base. Should be able to get grabbed, but I really love the way that he's just been constantly attacking from all angles. He's taking a 5th Nexus at the bottom of the map, and this big force of Curious is moving towards the 3rd. How do you feel about this movement, Todd?
I feel like Curious has had enough. At this point, he feels like he has to make something happen. Waiting is not doing it for him, and he's going to go for a huge attack on the 3rd base of SOS. He doesn't have any Overseer, so some DTs here will really help, and he immediately warps to Dark Templar. He's going to have to use Fungal to detect this.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, of course.
This bad boy is going to slice up some Infestors otherwise.
Yeah, that Zerg army is still pretty quick. He can throw the Infested Terrans out and try to squeeze some of those units away. He does have the Burrow, and I still don't think there's too many.
The army in the middle is getting chased down.
Yeah, very nice catch. The Void Rays chewing apart some of these Hydralisks in those low numbers. Those upgrades so nice. Archon split off into the 3rd, split off into the natural. The DT is getting to work. There's no Overseer.
Curious
with these Zerg forces. He's getting caught from both sides. The Archon doing a ton of damage. Overseer finally comes in, but there's too much. Overwhelming the Zerg force. SOS loses the 3rd base, but this army's bottleneck. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, you can't live.
Yeah, he's locked in. You can check out, but you can't go. There's the Storms dropping out some of the Templar, getting the feedback now on the Infestor. The Infested Terrans being thrown in front. The Archon still going to town in the natural, and there's the Storms just covering everything. SOS is destroying this force. Still plenty of Templar energy to go, and these last few Hydralisks going to throw out some more needles, but the Archons back home destroyed everything. A few more Roaches do come out. He still has his +2/2 Flyer, Carapace, and attack. The +3 shields is coming in, but what can Curious do from here, Todd?
Well, in this game, not much. He's going to try to start a step with some Roaches against these Archons, but his economy, he still had a lot of money.
This is it.
He's down to 15 drones.
22 Mutalisks on the production tab. This is the last trap card that the Curious has in his pocket. But there's so many Archons on the field.
13 gates. I think even more than that, because he forgot to morph to. So there's pretty much 15 gates. He's researched Blink in the middle of all this. And the army of SOS on the ground is 3-2 upgrades right now. It's going to be 3-3 very soon. So those Mutas, they are 2-1. That's it.
And I think it's also very important to note that there's still a lot of mining going on. sOs has had those bottom bases almost uninhibited throughout the entire game. His force so strong, he has so much economy blasting away at these roaches in the center of the field, not able to do too much. And there's the GG. Curious cannot stop the army of the Wunjin Stars Protoss player, and he will take game number 1.
I don't know about you, but next time I'm playing some ladder, when I press the play game button, I'm gonna hope I get a Zerg. Because I want to try this.
That was really nice. He had full control of that game all the way throughout. And
it's like, metagame-wise, he plans everything ahead, basically. He gets a few Void Rays, so an attack with mass roaches wouldn't work, so he forces Hydralisks. The Hydralisks come, there is Storm ready. And then you take 2 Infestors. He has too many Templars, too many Charge Loss, too many Archons for you to engage across the map. sOs plans everything ahead, so tricking this guy is going to be very, very hard, and I do think you have to trick him in order to be able to beat him.
Yeah, I like the way that you brought that up, that it was so well planned, because you had mentioned earlier in the game, his Storm, he went straight for that after the Void Ray production began, and it's one of the things about the map as well. Derelict Watch, there's a lot of wide open areas you can spread your units out, not only to avoid the fungals, but also the Storms, and I think that when you go for those engagements, as you said, on your opponent's side of the field, you can get locked into those chokes where the Storms can just do so much more damage. Your army is so clumped together. We have another large map for game number 2. It's going to be Whirlwind.
Yeah, and also one of the very important things that sOs didn't fail at was moving out too early. A lot of Protosses in this situation, they get a few Templars, they get Storm, they're like, I got 5 Storm, I can't lose the fight, right? They move across the map. Wrong. They lose the fight because the Zerg gets too good concave, and then you lose all of those expensive units that you can't replace very quickly, the Void Rays, the Templars with energy, and you get counterattacked and you lose or you fall very far behind. sOs did not do that. He waited the whole time. He wanted his Templars to be full energy when he fought, and it worked out perfectly for him.
Yeah, always stringing his opponent around, but ladies and gentlemen, we are in this map. Whirlwind is the setting for game number 2 between Curious and sOs. This is the Intel Extreme Masters New York. Let's do this, spawning in the bottom right position as the red Zerg player down 0-1 in this best of 5. From Team StarTale, it is Curious. And his opponent spawning in the top left position. Cross spawns, Todd. The blue Protoss player from Team Wunjin Stars. It is sOs.
And sOs does look like he's going to be playing a little bit more standard here. No quick scouts, but pylon down the ramp. So most likely a Forge expands, possibly with the Nexus first. I like it.
Yeah,
it's fine, as long as he plays the same way after.
Yeah, I mean, you have the cross spawns. There's not the fast probe scout this time around with the pylon, but the map is large. It's very difficult for a Zerg opponent to find you very quickly. Neither of the first 2 scouting overlords will be able to see his Nexus, so can't disagree with you there. Are we going to have that same type of follow-up? Is this a map where that Phoenix into Void Ray play is as effective? Derelict Watcher's 2 players. It's a lot easier to go straight at your opponent.
When sOs played against Jaedong on this map at DreamHack, this was actually one of the best games, in my opinion, that he played. He went for what I just talked about before, the double Stargate, the Void Race into the Zealots and Templars. And Jaedong was going for Roach, Hydra, Viper, but later he made a huge Muta transition, and then he forced the base trade, which sOs handled perfectly until the end, where he kind of messed up and ended up losing. So sOs, even if you do the Muta transition really, really well against him, and even if he doesn't expect it, he's going to put up one hell of a fight, because he takes all the decisions correctly. He counterattacks where he has to, and he splits his army very, very well, and he's always going to be very careful as to where his army goes and what's around it. Like, he's never going to be looking away from his army, and you're never going to see him losing units carelessly, basically.
Yeah, and it was one of the things that paid off so well for him, because he didn't need to overextend very much. With the Warp Prism constantly pulling the Zerg army back into the main base, he basically had all the time in the world he needed. And we do have the Forge on the way, the Gateway, very standard follow-up. It was a pull first opening from Curious into the hatchery, so he's not getting the best bang for his buck as far as the economy goes. The Nexus first doesn't really pose too much of a threat towards any type of fast hatchery opening. There is the drone moving out. Could be going to scout or just take that third. He has the resources for it. And, well, sOs scouts the top right position, doesn't see him, and he'll be finding him relatively soon, but still no scout, of course, for the Zerg player. And there's a third hatchery on the way, Todd.
Yeah, keep in mind, Curious, because of the way he opened with quick speed, and then he made the Zerglings a little bit too late to stop a very quick third from sOs. he was actually behind in the previous game. His plan didn't work overall. I'm not sure what he was planning for exactly, but when he tried to make Zerglings and stop the third base from going up, it didn't work out. SOS was able to hold, and then from there, Curious was very far behind economically compared to where he would be usually at the time. So in this game, he's playing it a lot more standard with the quick third, and it's going to be cool to see how it works out differently for him in this game as opposed to the previous one.
Yeah, and then one thing that I'm wondering about is the Infestors. We kind of said it was a bit interesting how it popped up on the last map. Is that something that we could potentially see again on this map?
It is, but I really feel like a Viper transition rather than Infestors would be a lot better.
Yeah.
I think on Vipers, when you have Roaches and Hydralisks, gives you so much room to make something happen. And I mean, he's shown before that what he can do with Vipers. That game against Flash was incredible.
Yeah, and I think this map is so big as well. It's not as easy to catch somebody in a choke point to grab them with something along the lines of fungal growth. So, our dance session is over, but the Stargate is going to be once again the choice for our Protoss player.
Yeah, I mean, he's a creature of habit, man. When it works, why change? Yeah, he's very, very good at his target opener. He's not gonna be stopping using it for now. I think one of the good things you can do against these two is a very Hydralisk heavy timing on the third base with a lot of Zerglings. You don't get a single Roach when you do that. And players like Dimaga or some other good Zergs, European Zergs, have been using this on the ladder quite successfully against me and some other Protosses. So that's how I know. And Life used something similar when he played against Zest. But Zest does play differently than SOS. He gets 5 Phoenixes and then Colossus and tries to take a third as soon as possible.
I mean, only makes a lot of sense. You have the Hydralisks and Zerglings versus Void Rays. The Prismatic Alignment doesn't really help, no bonus damage. Now we do have that, once again, the same style of opener that I asked you about. The Phoenix, straight into the Void Ray. Here we have the lair going up, relatively normal timing, I think, for the Zerg player. Nothing too crazy fast, but does he play this out the same way? Is there a better way to punish that faster? Is the Roach Hydra, the Hydralisk Ling as common? He's starting the Zergling speed up.
Yeah, I think, well, it's not. This is not going to be a fun time to stop this third base. So at this point, look at his lair timing. It's also quite late. Curious. I really don't think that in this game he can make it work. Or maybe it's just SOS build that's just too crisp for this to work. But right now, I mean, SOS, he always starts his third and it looks untouchable every single time. He has Void Rays to defend against Roaches. He has End of Sentries to defend against any kind of big all-in. And I have to say his build is super, super impressive so far.
Yeah, it's a great sign of how much he's practiced this, how familiar he is with this strategy. And also, you know, the way that he was able to deal with the pressure that came from the last game. You can tell he's been in many a scenario where this occurred, but you brought it up earlier, Todd. There's the Hydralisk Den, double evolution chamber on the way, Zergling speed finishing up relatively soon. There is that potential for fast Hydralisks. We don't even have a Roach Warren on the field.
No, I don't.
He's just continuing Void Ray production.
Oh, wow, he's getting 14 Zerglings, which I'm a little bit surprised about, but Curious is getting a 4th base already, and he's mining on 6 gases. That makes it a lot less likely that he will go for some kind of huge aggression like I talked about. I think what this is going to be is a few Hydralisks to fake. He's going for a heavy Hydralisk, possibly into a Muta transition, or he's going to go into Vipers, but he's supposed to have the Roach Warren already if he does that.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, the group Spine's upgrade.
Oh, the Spire.
There's the Spire. I really like the way that you said that, Todd. You go for the Hydralisks. Your opponent has to prepare for that. Either the Colossi or the Storm. Both not necessarily slow. Obviously, Colossi don't shoot up, but this Void Ray bringing a nice little bit of pressure over towards the 4th. Just using that Prismatic Alignment, and one Void Ray does have the power to charge this down. There's not enough creep spread to bring Queens over. The Hydralisks are making their way, but worst comes to worst, he can attempt to recall.
Yeah, and he has to be careful. The Mothership Core dies very, very quickly from Hydralisks. Curious actually chasing this down at this point. Oh!
Trying to get into the natural. The sentries are there. Burns a couple of force fields and does actually, they're so clumped together. I think he does manage to grab one of those sentries. Passes the probe to fight as well. Almost grabs both sentries. Not quite so lucky.
What a clutch save by the Zealots.
Yeah.
Don't touch my friend.
He's there right in time. The perfect wingman. The Templar Archives is finishing up for SOS. He's making that same type of transition that we saw in the last game.
The Phoenix of SOS here he's trying to see exactly what's up. He wants to see how many Hydralisks there are, if there are Roaches. He wants to know how much gas Curious spent, but he loses the Phoenix. He hasn't spotted the Spire as far as I know. No, he hasn't. So he's not going to have any idea of what he's against. And he's researching Charge, he's researching Storm. you don't need either of those against Mutas. I mean, Templars can be okay, but overall the Mutas regenerate too much. As long as Curious does not sit under the shower of storms, he's going to be okay.
Okay, so I was going to ask what the best time to make the Mutalisk transition is, but it looks like he's going for it right now. 11 Mutalisks on the way. He has the +1 flyer attack coming in. 6 warp gates are about to complete for SOS. He'll have a decent amount of production. The storm halfway done, as well as the +2 attack. But he's still investing into these Hydralisk upgrades, getting the Hydralisk speed. He's also getting Roach speed. He's keeping his options open as far as the later game goes, which kind of makes me feel like, is he really going to commit to the Mutalisk for the rest of this, or is it just a fake out?
I don't think he wants to play, because of his bases are very spread out. He cannot make a lot of spines to protect all of them. So I think he's going to go with the Mutas. He's going to start doing damage, and he's afraid that SOS might counterattack, in which case, as Curious, you get a lot of Roaches and Hydralisk. Can you defend? But oh, hold on. Those Mutas are going to fly past the Void Rays.
Does manage to not really grab any, barely escaping.
This is going to trigger an attack.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at this because he does have those Roaches and Hydralisks that you mentioned on the way. The Mutalisks come into the main base. There's plenty of Stalkers here, though, and they do not have the Blink. It's not quite as able to catch these, but the Phoenix production begins. The +2 attacks finishing up shortly. One Phoenix trying to help poke away at these Mutalisks. A few of them were weak, grabs at least 1 or 2, but now pressing in towards that third base natural area on the creep. The storms begin to drop. Not really hitting too much, softening up some of these Hydralisks, but SOS does need to be careful. He only has so many storms remaining, and he's actually trying to catch this army back on the creep. A few of the Templars being picked off have to drop all of their storms, blanketing half the army. Does manage to get a recall, but not the best trade for SOS. These Mutalisks are still alive.
And those Mutas, they have done their job. They kill some probes. They killed 50 in total, bringing SOS down to 60 probes against 78 drones. Well saturated on 4 bases. The 5th base is up for Curious. There's a pylon there, but those Mutas, they forced the units back. They have done some damage. Behind this Curious, he had planned for it all along. He's still getting upgrades for his Hydras and Roaches. He's getting the Infestation Pit now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes 2 Hive to get more upgrades, possibly Vipers, while he's still upgrading Zerg Flyer attacks level 2.
So I really like this, Tal. We mentioned in the last game that it was kind of SOS going for one opening, faking out Curious and making him do one other thing. But Curious this time around is really the one trying to control the pace of this with the Mutalisks and the Roach Hydra switches, being able to hold on to those bases and keeping this constant threat of pressure up, forcing another Photon overcharge. The Phoenix still trying to poke at this, but he doesn't really want to fully commit to them. He's going back into the Void Ray production, and Curious is just trying to blast up the front, takes out the cannon, and he's going to pick away at some of these Phoenix.
Oh, he picked off one of those Templars. There is only one storm up.
Hitting on top of this army. The Void Rays use their Photon Overcharge trying to shove this back. The Hydralisk taking massive amounts of damage. Almost all of them at half health or lower, being chased by these charge lots. Additional Zealots being warped in. We have more Hydralisks on the way. The upgrades continuing back at home. He's trying to remax on the Hydralisk force, but the +3 attack is starting up for SOS. He's done a great job of shoving this back, and suddenly the Mutalisks come in trying to do even more pressure as this Photon Overcharge comes close to wearing off.
I think the Photon Overcharge is about to end here, and he's going to kill some more probes. He's trying to force a huge all-in from SOS, in which case he would just have to hold to make sure he wins. But Curious, he has a lot of drones at this point. He's maxed out. I think he should throw down some spines to make sure he's extra safe against any kind of big attack from his opponent.
He's done a much better job this time around of controlling the pace of the game as compared to that first map. The Hive is on the way. The +2 flyer attacks, even getting pathogen glands, he'll have the option to move into infestors to deal with any level of air units. And we also see this army now moving over towards this top right 5th base. The spine crawlers are on the way. He's bringing the army in position. The Mutalisks are still forcing him to pay attention to what's going on back home. It's so difficult to go for the engagements while you're being hit with this harass.
These Mutas are such a nuisance at this point. SOS is having a really hard time dealing with them. He did not want to throw down many cannons in his mineral line, and because of this, he has to warp units all the time. He's losing mining time now as well.
He's killed 36 probes with these Mutalisks. He's done a torrent of damage, now moving in over towards that third base once again. And the Mothership Core has to stay with this army to keep that option to retreat open, and it's constantly spending its energy on the Photon Overcharge. If he gets into a fight and doesn't have recall or time warp, that could be a really big boon to his defenses.
Yeah, Curious is making a whole bunch of spines in his main here. I mean, he's losing those Mutas, but they have already done their job. At this point, he could lose them right now. It wouldn't matter. He's getting Infestors in support. I think he knows right now that he's done such a good job trading so far in this game that there's not going to be enough Storm plus feedback to deal with all of this army plus the Infestors. He has to be careful, though. He's going to get engaged here.
He does need to watch his clumping. The Storms begin to drop, get a couple of solid hits on the right side of that force. of Void Ray moving in as well. The Nexus still being targeted by a few of these Hydralisks. He wants to shut the base down, but it's also making it harder to fight the actual army. Makes sure to finish that Nexus, trying to target down the Templar, but most of them will escape. And a big cleanup for SOS, holding this off. But then even the last couple of Mutalisks still getting more probe kills in the main base.
Yeah, and well, there is one last Muta standing in the
53
main.
probes. 53 probes been killed.
And one last Muta is in the main, still preventing those probes from mining with 12 kills on it. Phoenix will finally kill it. And I think Curious here, he just engaged because he had so much money that he knew he could remax. So if he just traded, made sure he killed the Nexus, some of those Templars, with the army that he can remake behind this, he's gonna do okay in the next fight.
Yeah,
he knew he was gonna lose that fight, but trade well enough to be ahead.
He actually killed the Forge that was researching +3 attack.
Yes.
It's been restarted. There's still some roaches doing some poking, but the main force is down towards that bottom left 4th base. There's a huge army here prepared to grab this, and you kind of mentioned it before. The person who attacks into this is gonna have a really tough time with the Fungals. Storm's whiffing a little bit, grasping some of this army. There's the Fungals hitting a majority of the Templar, gets his Storm off. He still needs to be careful. This is a very powerful army, and he's actually just gonna recall back to defend.
Yeah, he was afraid to get chain fungled here, or to get his Mothership Core sniped, SOS that is, because he's not maxed out yet. At this point, his army is very strong, but his opponent is maxed out. So if SOS can max out, he can catch up maybe a little bit in supply, and he will do a lot better than he would now, obviously.
Ultralisk Cavern on the way for our Zerg player. He started the Zerg melee upgrades, those upgrades that will help the Ultralisks, and at the same time, a Dark Shrine from SOS. How do you feel about this Ultralisk switch? I mean, the Void Rays have a bit of firepower, but...
I think he might want to go Hydralisk plus Ultras, in which case it's pretty hard to storm. I call it the Targa.
Well, the Hydralisk, I mean, the Ultralisks are so big, it kind of spreads the army out on its own, and he's pressing now into this 3rd base. Photon Overcharge gets activated, not going to stick around terribly long. Throws some Infested Terrans, and he's going for the 4th base on the left as well, at the same time really pulling SOS apart, stressing that multitasking. Tons of Infested Terrans get thrown, and that's also expending the energy from the Templar with their Storms, making these Hydralisks have a little bit more staying power, and he's really stressing him apart. This Nexus is taking heavy fire, pushing from 2 fronts at once. The Storms do clean up the majority of Infested Terrans. There's not too many fighting units on the right side, but the probes have to run away. There's no more mining on that base for SOS, and he's taking a ton of damage all the while. Look at that bank build up as the Ultralisk Cavern completes.
What a sick Zerg versus Protoss play we are seeing here from both of these players. After the first game, I thought this was going to be a 3-0, but Curious showing us how to deal with this style of SOS right now. Nice Storm.
Blanketing a lot of these infestors. He's really doing a great job to take these out. Of course, they're very cost effective as they regenerate that energy. The +3 flyer attacks is still coming in. He's always kept in his mind this possibility of transitioning, but it's not enough. GG, Curious. Even things up here, 1-1. A fantastic game number 2 here at the Intel Extreme Masters in New York.
He's still in it.
That was a great game, Todd.
Yes, it was.
That was awesome. I feel like I'm being educated watching these 2 players go.
We definitely are. I mean, SOS, I feel like he's a bit of a trendsetter as far as Protoss goes. He does things that not too many people do, and then they become standard later on. So people really should focus on this guy and studying his replays, because what he does always is well calculated.
And
but
it's
Curious
so
here.
nice. It's so nice to see the mind games too.
Yeah.
Them constantly switching back and forth between the tech paths. It's
Curious adjusted so well from the first game.
Yeah,
in the first game, it seemed like he had no idea like how to face SOS, but in the second game, the Muta, man, the Muta transition, it was perfect. I knew it when he didn't make the Roach Run. I knew he was going to make a few Mutas, let his opponent believe he's going into Hydra, possibly Vipers, and then that's when you do the transition. Just 11 Mutas, remember?
Yeah.
It was 11 Mutas.
And
how many probes did they kill in the end?
It was like 56 by the time all the Mutalisks were gone. A tremendous amount of damage. There's our crowd here. Awesome people coming to attend. You're at the New York Comic-Con. We're getting invited now to the lobby for game at number 3. It's going to be on Polar Night.
Oh, that can be a
Variation
difficult
of strategy.
map.
Is it all still work, Todd? I feel like this is one of those maps where the 3rd base is really far from the natural. It can be hard to defend.
Yeah. There are pros and cons to doing something different here. SOS, obviously, his comfort zone is within his own style. So if he goes for something different, he will surprise Curious, but Curious is significantly better, in my opinion, against something different, which will be standard, in my opinion, what SOS could throw at him. So he's going to have to make a choice here, obviously. You know what? If he opens for Void Race again, he can kill the ice between his natural and the backdoor 3rd base, and he can take it very quickly. It will be so cool if he did that.
As I say, that's actually a really great point. The Prismatic Lemon, of course, you can kill the rocks even faster, and then you don't have to worry about taking the overextended 3rd base towards that left side. I mean, if you spawn on the bottom, or I guess on the right side if you're on top, but it's very interesting. The one question I have before we get into this, in the second game, was it just the Mutalisks? Where was the big mistake that SOS made that really cost him the opportunity?
That was not spotting the Spire. You know, he flew his single. He had only one Phoenix again. He flew it into Hydralisk. He lost it. And I mean, it was 5 Hydralisks. So even then, he should have been able to realize something was up. There was a possibility for this Mutas. If he had seen the Spire, this is a completely different game. He gets cannons everywhere, possibly throws down additional Stargates. He gets more Phoenixes. He defends against the Mutas. And then he's in a great position.
Yeah, great point. I mean, it's only 11 Mutalisks. Cannons can be enough, but we are here, ready to play. Game number 3 has loaded up, ladies and gentlemen. On Polar Night, this is the Intel Extreme Masters New York. Game number 3 of this best of 5. This Protoss versus Zerg. We have Curious going up against SOS. It's all tied up. Both players showing incredible play so far. Welcome, spawning in the top position of Polar Night. The red Zerg player just tied this series up 1-1 from Team Startail. It is Curious. Gaining some more fans in the crowd after that fantastic game. And his opponent in the bottom position, the blue Protoss player from Team Wunjin Stars. It is SOS.
SOS has placed his pylon in a position where usually, when you see it here, you see the gateway and the cybernetic core in the wall. That means the gate expand. Let's see what he has in store for us here.
Yeah, and
maybe he...
It's always interesting to see, because even on the other 2-player map, Derelict Watcher, he still went Nexus first with the pylon in his main base.
Yeah.
He's been keeping the options open this whole series.
It's going to be a gate, I think. Nice, he's mixing it up.
Yeah.
It's SOS, man. He can do anything he wants and make it work.
Is a gateway expand inherently better on this map, or is it just him trying to play the mind games versus his opponent?
I think Forge expand is just as good. He's just trying to mix it up maybe a little bit, in my opinion. Could have something special planned, like a 2-base with lots of gateways.
Yeah.
With just a few gateway opener. When you do this, you're going to have the possibility of being very aggressive against the 3rd base. That's why a lot of Zergs, they open with a quick gas. And I think he knows that Curious does not scout with a drone. So Curious is going to identify this very, very late. So at first, I thought that if Curious goes for a quick 3rd base, SOS could be very aggressive with possibly 3 additional gateway after his Nexus. But he has actually took 2 gases. So maybe a quick Stargate with an expansion.
That's a really good point that he hasn't actually used the drone scout. This time around, he did have a drone patrolling at the front of his natural. I assume to watch for any type of early probe scout in the event that there was a cannon rush, but it's a very fast hatchery.
Double hatchery before pool, and this is actually one of the best builds to get ahead against the gate expand. So I have to give a huge edge to Curious right now in this game.
He scouted the gateway around the same time that he planted that hatchery, so it's just a very smart decision from him.
And that was so bizarre. Did you see? SOS, he sent a probe down his ramp, he mined 1 mineral, and then he came home.
Yeah, I mean, this has happened to everybody. You think to go build the Nexus. He has the Nexus rallied down there. Now he will have the resources when that probe arrives. Mothership Core is going to open straight up with that. No Zealot or anything along those lines.
He actually canceled the Zealot. Which, in this case, I think if he had kept it and then got the Mothership Core, he could have pressured. Imagine there would be no Queen out when he arrived.
Well, it's also funny because he did, the only game he probe scouted was on Derelict Watcher.
Yeah. So both players, they are trying to trick each other against what they did before.
Yeah.
And then they kind of end up doing this very awkward style that's against each other right now is like weirdly matched, I guess you could say.
The mind games are reaching new heights for this series, Todd.
And I think Curious so far, he's definitely getting the better end of this, I think.
I mean, you get away with the fast 3rd hatchery, you get the extra queens, you get the extra larva. The probe does confirm this, a rather late probe scout. The Stargate is on the way, as you had stated, Todd.
He needs to start speed as soon as possible. He's going to do just that.
And 3 queens on the way. He's just getting everything situated. I love the use of the Mothership Core, trying to poke away this Overlord as well.
And SOS, he already knows right now that this was a 3 hatch before pull because he saw the timing on the 3rd base. He came there with his probe, he saw it was already up, there was creep spread as far as it was, and he already knows. He's going for the quick Stargate in his wall, decently quick Stargate in his wall. And I think here going for an Oracle first could be pretty good because the opponent's almost never going to expect it, have spores ready, and even if there is a queen, you just get in there and you snipe drones very quickly. If you get 1 Phoenix, you're not supposed to force spores. But if you get 1 Oracle, you are. So even if you make 1 Oracle, it's super fast. You're going to force spores very, very quickly in the game. But SOS chooses to go for Phoenix anyway. Let's see if he goes for a Void Ray after. What do you think?
Yeah, it seems interesting. He's often refrained from queuing up a second Phoenix, but he has a pylon there. 2 gateways are about to finish up. He has the warp gate. and he's continuing to pump out these Phoenix. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he does here. He doesn't actually have to warp units in. He's already forcing out 20 speedlings, so he's kind of drawing out a commitment to defend from Curious instead of spending his larva producing those mining drones. And the pylon gets destroyed. He kills the Zealot, immediately goes back into making drones. But it's also interesting because when Curious sees the first Phoenix going after this Overlord, he might not initially have expected that there would be more than one. So I'm wondering how much he'll prepare against that.
You know, in the previous game I explained how for one Phoenix you're not supposed to make a spore. Well, he's making more than one Phoenix right now. He's already got 2, he's getting a 3rd, he's going to be getting a 4th. And if there are no spore, he can do some damage. However, Curious realized there was more than one. He's getting spores now, but you need 2 spores per base to make sure you defend very, very well against this. Otherwise, the Phoenixes are going to fly around, they're going to pick off drones everywhere at the gases and be super annoying.
Yeah, I was going to say it would have been so cool if he just hid all of the extra Phoenix because he'd only opened with one prior, but he still manages to grab a couple of these drones, at least the ones that are trying to mine the gas. Potential delay on the tech. There are the speedlings looking for somewhere to run, but there's not too much that Curious can do. Both these players taking little jabs here. We have the resources starting to really accumulate, though, for our Protoss player. He's just going to add on additional gateways. We're not seeing that incredibly fast 3rd on this map.
And the Zerg player, 10 walkers, well, a little bit more than 10 walkers ahead right now. I have to say, so SOS, he spent a lot of chrono boost in his Phoenixes. Oh, what's going on? Lots of gateways going down in the main.
Yeah,
I think he's going to do a timing.
Moving up to 7 gateways.
Yeah, he's going to do a timing with lots of sentries and zealots in addition to his Phoenixes, and this is going to be so strong.
So how do you feel about this, though, without any type of forge play? The Zealots won't have too much of an advantage versus the Zerglings. This relies a lot on the force fields, and these Zerglings are already drawing a lot of fire.
They will, because there is a lot of sentries to help behind this. He's going to have a lot of Guardian Shield ready. He can force field as well. If he just goes for the natural, I think this is the best choice. But I think he might go for the 3rd. And on this map, the natural and the main are quite far apart from the 3rd for the Zerg. So reinforcing is going to be a lot more difficult. He has these Phoenixes that can pick up roaches and kill them. The thing is curious, he seems to know that this is coming. He started burrow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. He's actually employed a lot of burn, not actually used it too much. But
and he's buying a lot of time. Nice save on the Stalkers.
He lifted up his own Stalker to keep it from being picked up. The Zerglings managed to come and get it anyway, unfortunately. His efforts are wasted, but 16 roaches are on the way as well.
Curious is doing this so well, and SOS has actually blocked his 3rd base here with the pylon because he wanted to... He's completely going for it here.
Yeah, I feel like when the Zerglings saw those sentries there, placing the pylon by where that 3rd base could go might have led him to believe that he was going to expand, but here comes the force. He sees the sentries, he saw them by those bushes, and he's just pumping out tons of roaches. And with the burrow, as you stated, he can use it to dodge the force fields a little bit. He can regenerate his health quickly. There's no other tech. He doesn't have any detection. There's no detection at all to spot these burrow roaches. He can use them to heal or even just hide.
This is looking fantastic for Curious, who's going to go for the fight.
Good force fields trying to block him. Half the roaches have been mostly pinched away, but the half that gets caught just burrows. Nothing to do about that. Twilight Council is going to be the choice and a robotics facility for SOS. I think he's realizing now he's going to have a very hard time breaking this.
The Phoenixes are really going to help here because every time those roaches unburrow, he can pick up some of them. But he doesn't have any more energy. He's going to have one Graviton beam soon, but that's it.
Very difficult position to be in. SOS has not been able to make this attack work, and it's showing him the supply now. There's tons of units being pumped out for the Zerg player, trying to get us around. There's the force fields, but he can always try to burrow again, continue to step away. The Phoenix using those lifts, as you stated, to kind of seal them away. And SOS, he's actually getting a couple decent units here. These roaches aren't running away as much, but he's going to go for the full round, and there is the recall.
You know what Curious should get here? Tunneling Klaus. It would be brilliant if he got Tunneling Klaus, because with roach movement, burrow roach movements, he will be able to move around the force fields quite easily and just do super well overall. So anyway, he's just that far ahead that right now he feels he can do anything. He throws down the infestation pit, the Hydralisk Den as well. It's either going to be tech to Vipers or Swarm Host in support for those Hydras, in my opinion.
I mean, this is a really tough position because he doesn't have the Void Rays like he's had the last few games. He doesn't have Immortals. He's starting to try to churn them out, but the roaches are bringing the pressure to the front. There's no high-powered units to fight these. And now some force fields trying to split it up, and he says, okay, well, I'll just burrow and wait. There is a little bit of detection here, though. He does manage to force some of them back. Great force fields locking some of them in, though, with the Photon overcharge, but still having a really tough time dealing with this. He's moving into the robotics bay, and I like what you said about getting the Hydralisk and potentially just moving up to the Hive. Since the Colossus seems like one of those panic reactions in this situation, he gets something to stop this.
Yeah, and Curious, at this point, he knows there's no third base from his opponent. He needs to make sure he doesn't overdrone. that he makes enough units, and he's going to be just fine. The Phoenixes, they're going to try to go around to make sure there is no Spire or anything like that, because I don't think he's seen a single Hydralisk just yet. And I think he's not going to mind too much seeing Hydralisk at this point, because Hydralisk by themselves, I mean, you get Colossus, you have Blinkstalkers, you're okay. It's about what comes next. Is it Swarm Host? Is it Hive? And he's going to be able to spot the Hive starting at this point.
Very nice catch there. And, you know, it sounds really funny back to what you said about the Roaches with the burrow speed. I mean, he used the burrow, he can regenerate the health much more quickly on the Roaches. But it's also funny because he got burrow movement on the Derelict Watcher game, but never really employed it. So
Yeah.
I guess it's maybe one of those things he's decided it's not necessarily worth it. He didn't see too many opportunities to make it useful. But he's just pumping out the Roaches, pumping out the Hydras. And like you said, I think he feels so comfortable, he's just going to move straight up to that Hive. And how do you feel about this positioning on the 4th base for Curious? A bit close, I feel, to
yeah, this is
SOS.
a bit weird, but I guess he feels confident, and if he fights pretty much on any force, even if he had to take the other, he's going to be in an open field, which he doesn't mind. I'm surprised nobody uses the ice expansion, the ones in the corner. They are so much safer than any other expansion, but nobody seems to use them on this map. I'm the only one.
Well, I'll say it was funny that you mentioned that. I think it was Don Rigu Flash earlier today just completely wrecked him by keeping the safe expansion tucked behind.
Yeah.
We have the Templar Archives coming in. This has been a very different composition setup from SOS, and I feel like not being as comfortable with this has really been showing in this game with some of the engagements that he's been taking. Curious has been able to happily sit back max. The Vipers are on the way. These Colossi can be nullified very quickly. We've seen how good Curious is with the Vipers in his games versus Flash. +3 missile attacks are on the way. The Hydralisk speed about to complete, getting Spine Crawlers up for the defense. The Colossus range is about to finish up, but this 3rd base is incredibly late for the Protoss player.
And Curious is playing this so well. Look at his main. He knows that now there is enough Colossus for SOS to feel safe in defense, and there is the option of a War Prism flying into his main, sniping his Hive, sniping key buildings. He gets Spines right on time. He had the money for it.
And it's a great adjustment because that's exactly what happened to him on Derelict Watch.
Exactly.
The Hive was sniped, and now he has the extra defense. Both of these players really just been adjusting to each other so much throughout this entire
important
game.
upgrades.
And that +3 attack, of course.
Very, very important. That's going to make his ranged units so much stronger.
Especially with how fast, the Hydralisks attack. Every little extra bit of damage is so much. And he's getting the Spire, that insurance policy, as he continues to crank out the Vipers. He currently has 3 on the field. The 4th one is on the way. And he's staying very active on the map, being, constantly pressuring that threat. If this Protoss army's out of position, he can walk in, snipe the Nexus, and just back off.
Yeah, that will be a pre-storm timing, by the way. Storm is underway. It will really help against this army. If SOS could get Storm, it could be the saving grace. But I think Curious is not going to give him the time, although it's very hard to go up the ramp and engage here.
He's playing very cautiously. The Viper's not in play just yet. Throws on a Blinding Cloud. Not doing too much for him just yet. Of course, the big targets there are those Colossi, but you have to be careful because the Templar feedbacks, once you use that consumption and raise the energy super high, it only takes 1 or 2 feedbacks to just completely pick off all of your Vipers.
Just one, actually.
Well, I mean, spread across the Vipers, but the Storm is about to finish.
I'm just teasing.
We have a ton of Spine Crawlers, by the way, finishing. He's building the Great Wall of Spine Crawlers at this point. No counterattacks are going to be able to break him like he was able to earlier. And I feel like we're seeing a new level of Curious this game, using the Roach to block
so funny.
the expansion.
There was a Roach on top left. It was burrowed. Then it saw a probe. It unburrowed, sniped the probe, and I'm pretty sure he's going to burrow here very soon again. Curious is so good at this. He used a lot of those against Flash as well.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because he has the same type of army composition as he did versus Flash. And playing those burrowed Roaches, he's being very active on the map. And SOS has to be so safe about how he engages this because the range on that feedback is not terribly long. It's very easy to walk into the fire. Roaches pressing in now towards the 3rd base. And he's going to take a bit of economic damage. These Roaches, some of them focusing down the probes. Won't be able to kill off the Nexus quite fast enough, but he's going for the engagement. Throws a Blinding Cloud to keep the Stalkers away. The health on those Vipers very, very low as this Protoss army continues to stalk forward. The Greater Spire is also on the way. All of the probes at the 3rd base have been destroyed. +3 attack coming in for SOS, but just so much being killed. And I'm really curious now. We see the army supply still favoring the Protoss player. He's actually just going to go for it. He's attacking into the natural expansion of Curious.
It looks like both players want to base trade. The Greater Spire about to finish. Curious, he needs to start as many Brood Lords as he can outside on the map right now. He's got 9 Corruptors, and this is actually really hard to call. I think, he's starting the Brood Lords on the right-hand side.
Yeah, this is a very tense situation. The Mothership Core is not with the Protoss army. He doesn't have the choice of killing off the base and then going home, so he has to run back as fast as he can. He left behind a few units peeled off, but you know, that massive wall of Spine Crawlers can do a great job of helping to defend this. That Greater Spire slightly exposed. He uses the Blinding Cloud on the cannons to prevent them from being able to hit these Hydralisks. He's trying to stay as cost-effective as possible. He was able to win a similar base rate, of course, earlier on. That army supply starting to tilt in favor of the Zerg player. The Broodlords are here. The army's pressing into that third base, and he's about to be greeted with a wall of Broodlings running through his forces. The Colossus can clean them up rather quickly, but it's not a force he can trade very well versus. There's not enough Stalkers to just blink straight up under this.
He needs to bring in the Stalkers, but he's gonna get flanked from the other side. Nice abduct.
Grabbing these units, the Storm hits the Hydralisks, trying to press him back. He's being assailed from all sides here. The Storm's continuing to drop the Broodlords, and the Broodlings chasing him back further and further. The army supply up 153 to 86. GG Curious has taken this control of this series, now up 2-1 against SOS.
Interesting fact. Curious had more army supply at the end of this game than before he started base trading. Just so you know.
Not often does that happen. Well, the Corruptors, they go up in supply when you turn them into Broodlords. He had the resources, I believe.
Yeah, but he remade a lot of roaches as well, like while he was getting attacked here, and just beautiful play. He placed his Corruptors in a perfect position behind some spines. He has the spines in the main, buying himself some time as well. And as much as in SOS's position, I might have made the same choice to go for the base trade as at this point. Now, as spectator, I can see how wrong it was, because Curious had such a bank. He just had everything going for him, going to this base trade. At first, I was a little bit hesitant. I think, actually, if SOS had come back and caught this Roach, Hydra, Viper army without losing too much, he would have been okay. He would have remaxed, and then he would have had to face the Broodlords with the new army.
So how do you feel about the decision then to leave the Mothership Core behind when he went for the push?
I think
would it
it's
have helped
good.
a lot if he had it?
No, I think it's good for defense against like a few units, like the Roaches that attacked him on the left. Koreans, they have been doing this a lot against both Zergs and Terran. They always leave their Mothership Core back at home for that photon overcharge and for the defense. Very rarely will you see them move out with the Mothership Core and plan for a recall ahead.
Interesting. It's so difficult to hold on to, and to your point, the Broodlords themselves, I mean, trying to fight under that so hard. He had like 10 or so Spine Crawlers wrapped around that base. If you try to blink under those Broodlords to actually pick them off, then the Spines immediately tear you to shreds. It was quite tough, but all right, just making sure we can get everything set up for our lobby. This next game, Todd, is going to be on Yansu, 2-player map again. How do you feel about this map? At least for the style that SOS did. Are we going to see him go back into the previous setup that he had, like he did on Whirlwind and Derelict Watcher?
There is a good chance. I mean, he went for the gateway expand here, and it just didn't work out at all for him. Didn't seem to be able to grasp exactly what he had to do to make this work. So then again, you know, Polar Knight is probably the worst map that you could play right now. Well, Derelict also not that good, but I guess he has a lot more experience with Derelict.
Yeah, it's been in the map pool much longer.
I think both of these maps are pretty tough, whereas Yansu, it really depends on players. Some players actually don't mind it much.
So is it, you think it's better to go for the Phoenix into the Void Ray on this map, or is he just going to play Phoenix? It seems like he already really enjoys going for the Stargate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to revert back to his style, go for the Stargates, take the third base. I'm not sure which one. This is also kind of 50-50. You have two options for a third base. It really comes down to what have you practiced and you feel more comfortable with. So we're going to see.
Yeah, well, it's time to find out, ladies and gentlemen, as we are loaded into the game. Game number 4 of this best of 5. We have a 2-1 lead for the Zerg player over our Protoss. Here they are, Curious and SOS, duking it out here at the Intel Extreme Masters New York. Welcome to Yansu, spawning in the top right position as the red Zerg player. From Team StarTale needs another win to advance. It is Curious.
All right, Pylon next to his Nexus. You think Gateway?
Anything is possible at this point, Todd. The opponent, the blue Protoss player in the bottom left corner from Team Wunjin Stars, took the first win. Can he bring it back? It is SOS.
Oh, let's see.
He has mixed it up a lot with where he opens.
Oh, Gateway.
With that pylon positioning.
He's rallied next to his Pylon. So gateway opener again. I'm a little bit surprised. I really thought that, oh, he's trying to do the dog, and he did. He sneaked the probe between the pylon and the Nexus. That's pretty cool. Can you do this?
No.
Well, you don't play Protoss. So
Sometimes maybe your probe gets stuck there, then it's like...
No, it can't.
It can't?
Yeah.
At all?
Yeah,
See, I would mess it up and get it stuck anyway. But how do you feel about the gateway opener on this map? I don't necessarily feel that like Polar Knight, it's not as exposed as that third base. You can take a much more comfortable macro style.
Yes.
Does he need to gateway expand to play safe on this map?
I think gateway expand is quite okay to do sometimes in general. The thing is, I like it a lot better with just one gas. And SOS seems to be very stubborn, going for the double gas every single time. He's actually throwing down the second pylon down his ramp. That's to check for a proxy hatch, to make sure. Because if there is a proxy hatch at this time, he needs to know about it. He can pull probes, chrono boost some zealots, and make sure it doesn't go up or doesn't happen.
Yeah, and you know, I think one of the things that's interesting is we've seen occasionally, and we do now see, I guess he's just going to do the extractor cancel trick, but the Overlord will come in, it sees this pylon out front, but I think based on the timing, he should know that it's not anything like a Nexus first, as he does come in, no drone scout, and we're actually not seeing a probe scout this game, so I think he expects the fast Nexus because he does have a drone headed over towards that third position.
Yeah, and he's going to be taking that quick third base, well, not as fast as earlier when he went for the double hatch before pull. Still pretty early, and I mean, in this situation, this is a lot more standard than going for the double hatch before pull, which I felt really put him ahead when he did that. In this situation, it's just like standard. What you're seeing right now is really, really fairly standard.
All right, well, so one of the other questions that I had about this map, as far as Protoss versus Zerg goes, there's a relatively large distance between the main base and the natural. It's hard for a Mothership Core to cover the whole area with the photon overcharge. Is that something that he could be looking at? Is that something that could maybe give Curious an idea to go for some aggression if it's hard to cover the whole base?
Usually not between the main and natural, more like between the natural and third base. There is some timing, some very good timings that you can hit on the third base on this map, but Curious so far, it really didn't feel like he wants to do this kind of play. He wants to do good transitions, muta transitions, the best transition of all. And I think he's going to stick to this, possibly in this game as well. Although, I mean, if I was SOS now, I would be a lot more worried than before, because it's already happened.
Yeah, see, I mean, I think the biggest thing to notice, he actually has 8 Zerglings on that production tab, but I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is, in game number 1, Curious went for a very heavy speedling assault on that fast third base. And then in game number 2 and 3, he didn't go for the fast aggression, and he was able to come out on top. Is it possible that in that first game he was just set off a little bit by that early investment that couldn't take out the third?
Yeah, I've talked about it. I really thought he fell quite far behind, going for the speed, not doing anything with it, and then getting the Zerglings that didn't get a cancel on the third. And
he seems like he's a lot more in his comfort zone.
Yeah, in the 2 next games, he just played pretty much macro, got as many drones as he could, didn't take any risk, read the game perfectly, did his transitions, played his own game, and it went a lot better. So I expect nothing else in this game than his usual style. Whereas SOS, he's on 3 gateways, he's getting +1. If he adds a lot of gateways right now, he could hit some very strong timing. Let's see if it starts gases or if he makes gateways. He starts gases on his expansion. So I think this should be a third base play with possibly a robo being thrown down very soon. And no Stargates. I think this is the first time.
It's kind of interesting, because the only reason I was asking about that is if he's had difficulty beating him in the straight-up macro game, is there an aggressive play he can do? But I feel like
the sentries.
This roach timing is a bit different. And yeah, these Zerglings actually trying to get on top of this. One force field trying to block him off. He saves
nice
the sentries, gets a nice amount of that surface area reduced. The Mothership Core did spot that roach horn. There's a lot of units being put out, though, by our Zerg player right now.
Do you know how many Protosses would have butchered these 2 force fields and lost their sentries?
I can raise my hand to that one. But these Zerglings, most of them do get shoved back. He's actually taken that third Nexus still by the rocky area. And you know, he got rid of the links, so there's nothing to actually see that Nexus. I don't think Curious is aware of what's going on. He's still putting out a good number of units. He's not completely switched off of drones. He's still been putting out a few of those here and there. The Twilight Council, though, he really is changing up his tech direction once again this game.
I think he just wants to go into +2 and pretty much standard play. I'm a little bit surprised on the robo timing. You're supposed to get it at least earlier than that, but I like SOS's position in this game. He's going to wall off his third base. He's going to have a lot of sentries to keep on sending hallucinated phoenixes to get the perfect scout he needs to get to adapt from there.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well because there's, like you said, there's none of that further tech. The most he has access to is he could go straight to Templar, he could get Blink, but even some Protoss players that try to play big 3-base Blink play, they want to mix in the Immortals, and it is going to be Blink. He can get a fast +2 attack. At what point does he actually move out with this force? Is he just getting Blink to be defensive? Because I feel like with this third base, he's invested a lot. He's walled off the area. He's trying to protect it. When does he actually attack?
Pretty soon. It depends on what he sees. And right now, there is actually some units ready to attack just on the right of his natural. So he has to be careful. He's going to need very good force fields. You know, he's going to need to see those units headed his way. And you see, like, the hallucinated Phoenix scouted the 3 bases. It sees that the Zerg is on actually, he didn't see the gases in the main. He only saw the hatchery morphing. That's very important information. But usually when you see the double gas taken on the third base, the ones in the main are being mined from as well. The big information here is the third base. If he sees the saturation, if he sees there is 2 gases taken there, he's going to know what's going on.
We have the Zerglings trying to run in. That Zealot walls off nicely. Some good force fields splitting this army in half. At the same time, Zerglings running into the third. The Photon Overcharge being used to defend as well. SOS covering his tracks as best he can. Not taking any serious damage here, and I think picking off a nice trade there with those roaches.
Yeah, very nice attack by Curious, but SOS defense almost perfectly. I think he lost a single probe, that's it.
Yeah,
maybe 2.
Nice.
And yeah, he's going to find himself in a decent position. 61 probes against 69 walkers, +2 on the way. This feels like Reign. I was gonna say Reign of Chaos, wrong game. This feels like Wings of Liberty style, where Protosses, Korean Protosses like Hero, they will play the standard Blink into Colossus play with the +2 against the Roach Infestor into Broodlord Zergs, and they did very well. Well, this was one of the best strategy that you could do, and did pretty good sometimes. So SOS here is playing it old school, whereas Curious is getting Roaches, Hydralisks. He started the Infestation Pit now. I do think this is going to be for Hive and Vipers.
He's trying to keep the pressure up with these Zerglings. Grabs maybe 2-3 more probes. He does still have the cannon here. He warps in some Zealots as well, focusing down the probes. 7 kills overall. Most of these Zerglings will be destroyed, though. Stalkers actually blink up to catch them, not allowing them to escape. But an Infestation Pit is on the way. The +1 missile attacks as well.
11 more drones.
Yeah, and he's just droning. He's playing a very greedy style. He has the 4th base already complete as well. And we have the +3 attack.
Yes.
We have the extended thermal lance coming in for those Colossi. So it does look like Blink Colossus, as you've stated.
And I really hope that SOS hits a timing, a pre-Viper timing, with 2 or 3 Colossus. I'm not sure it's going to be Viper just yet. I'm just assuming. The Hive still didn't start. It could be Swarm Host. I don't think it's going to be Infestors. It would be pretty bad if it was Infestors in this situation against this many Blink Stalkers with upgrades and Colossus.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say this build, there's no Templar on the field to try to feed back any Vipers. If he has the Infestation Pit, does he have time to actually get to a Hive and try to grab those Vipers? Is that even a realistic possibility for Curious at this point?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a choice. If he stays on Roach, Hydralisk, or only grounds, he does not get Corruptors or Vipers, and he's facing Colossus and a maxed out army. You're never going to win that, usually.
Well, the Overseer gets in and scouts off the main base. Some Stalkers trying to run back. And the Overseer's heading over towards the natural. It will get that full read. It will see that Robotics Bay if these Stalkers do not save it, but they're in position. Shouldn't be able to get too far. I don't think this Overseer is going to spot it. Very close. No vision.
And does SOS really want to take a 4th base here? I think he's not doing the best job of scouting. Well, he did spot the Hive morphing. I think going for a timing at this point will be the best choice, but you know, we can see everything.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that when you're watching the game. Then again, he probably knows better than me, so going for the 4th base here, getting the Templar Archives, getting charged as well. And he's gonna want to look to secure himself that base on the top left-hand corner. If he goes up to 5 bases, Zerg can get really scary playing against Zerg. He's gonna have the Spire as well, so...
And
do you think he wants to go for Broodlords, or is it for a Muta transition?
It's so tough. I mean, this is one of those few instances in this series where we haven't seen any Stargate play.
Yes.
So getting up things like Tempest is going to take so long to act as a counter to that Broodlords are actually a pretty decent option, I feel.
Yeah, and do you know what I think? I think he hasn't decided yet, actually. He's just getting the Spire as an option for the Broodlords. Yeah, but he's just getting the Spire as an option to get the Broodlords, maybe. And if he sees an opportunity for Mutas, he's going to do it as well.
Yeah, you're dead on. He has the Greater Spire coming in. He's actually getting all of the upgrades. Burrow, the Locust extended life upgrade, as well as the the +2 range. He's continuing to upgrade everything. This is I feel like going to reach one of those situations where neither player really wants to attack just yet. But this is where SOS started to find a lot of success in his earlier games.
I was just about to say, I'm surprised we don't see more spines going down in the main. And then
the War Prism heading on the right side, Roach attack on the left, and there's still a decent bit of area. It is Yonsu. There's multiple places to bring this War Prism to try to fight, and you can warp in. These Zealots trying to get on top of these Roaches. No charge just yet, but a good number of Colossi. He has the Templar and the Stalkers. With good force fields, the Vipers, it's really just going to come down to a micro battle. Who can use their spellcasters more effectively?
And Curious just locked himself out, to actually locked SOS inside of his natural. He has the Vipers. That can be very dangerous. Some abducts above the cliffs and... oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's already going for this. And he kept a lot of room. He didn't max out, so he can warp in a lot of Zealots there. And in the meantime, he's going to want to look to do an attack on the left-hand side with his Mothership Core this time, so he can recall. Remember what you talked about.
Yeah, it's so nice because he pulls the units back and it buys him that opportunity to get in and be aggressive. If he continues to just warp these Zealots, and great feedbacks, draining 3 of those Vipers. There's no energy to use. Only one of them can use any abducts. And now the Colossi have a little bit more swagger in their step. They can step a little bit more forward to try to pick off these Hydralisks.
He could really need an observer to clear out this creep, but he's got another War Prism headed for the main of Curious, and he's going to warp in a lot of Zealots there. He's got a lot of money and gateways.
And that War Prism is coming in. The first Broodlords are on their way as well. Halfway complete. We see a ton of Zealots being brought in here. 12 of them in that main base, sending Zealots over towards that third. And he still has that army bringing the main pressure. The question is, how much time does it take for him to see these Broodlords? He's spotted the Greater Spire
really
covered in these Overlords. It's quite hard to see. The Zealots are actually all choked up in that mineral line. He will be able to pick off the third base hatchery. The Zealots getting very close to that Greater Spire. It's actually less than half health, but the Colossi are pressing the front as well. Where are the Broodlords? He's cleaned up that base. The very top left base is still there, but there's no drones, and with these rocks never being destroyed, his army can't really be chased by that ground force of Curious. SOS has found himself a very nice window to fight, and also, he's still putting out the War Prisms. We don't see any transition to account for this Greater Spire. It's still alive.
Yeah, barely. 173 hit points. He's throwing down double targets. I think he wants to go for Tempest from there, possibly. I'm surprised SOS didn't play this a little bit more safe and recalled, but I guess he had vision of where the army was, and this army... this base on the top left-hand side was completely ignored. And Curious, again, just like before, he's moving across the map with his entire army. He's actually going to be stuck down there.
And there's the recall. Says surprise, pushes him away, keeping that base alive and also keeping his economy going. There's still only those 3 mining bases, the main base very low. Another War Prism heading towards the main. He's saying, you've got Broodlords, but I don't want those coming towards me anytime soon. Dark Templars attacking the natural hatchery. Transfuses being used, 2 Overseers, 4 of them being produced there. This War Prism is still alive. The Corruptor not able to kill it in time. There the Zealots go. The natural is down. Going for the macro hatchery at the natural as well. That Greater Spire, very little health left, being focused down by the Zealots, a little bit choked up trying to get on top of it, but it looks like he should be able to pick that off. All of the Spine Crawlers are gone. The natural expansion cleaned out. There's no drones at the third base, nothing mining in the main. It's just these Broodlords, these Vipers, and these Hydralisks trying to keep this match alive for Curious. Up 151 supply now to 116 army supply.
Oh wow, that's a huge difference here. SOS, he needs a lot of Archons to tank here. Possibly he has a lot of Storms ready. He's gonna go for it.
And he's coming in. The Broodlord's getting some of these fire up. The Hydral's doing a great job of staying outside the fire. Does manage to pick off one Broodlord. Oh, going for the second one. Continuing to focus these down. He's getting the air upgrades. None of those units out there, but the Storms really hurting these Hydralisks. SOS maintaining that supply lead, just needs to be careful. These Broodlings, these Broodlords, with their range, with those infinitely spawning Broodlings, can continue to bring the siege pressure, but Curious doesn't have any gas in the tank. There's nothing to replenish this fourth with. SOS is pressing forward. The Broodlord count is dwindling very quickly. 100 army supply to 60 for SOS, and he's just bursting in, tokening down those Broodlords. GG, SOS ties this series up 2-2 here.
I don't even know what to say anymore. This is such beautiful Protoss play that...
This has been an amazing match on both sides.
My jaw dropped here at some points. He keeps on sending War Prism continuously, keeping the Zerg on his side of the map while he macros. This top left-hand side base was ignored. That's the only thing he could have done maybe a little bit better, but everything else was perfect. The Dark Templars, the charge that finished just as he dropped the first few Zealots, and also not maxing out. A lot of players will be very tempted here to max out, but he he left himself a lot of free supply to make sure he could warp in a lot of Zealots here to do enough damage to take the lead in this game. He wanted to force that attack out of his opponent. He didn't want to fight on the crit. He didn't want to fight on the side of the map of the Zerg. He wanted the Zerg to attack into him so he can resupply much faster with those warp-ins.
And I think Curious has learned a very valuable lesson after the first game and this fourth game. If you let SOS get comfortable and start throwing those warp prisms around, you're going to have a hell of a time defending your bases and staying alive versus this Protoss player. He was, he had a lot of difficulty when he was trying to go for the straight-up engagements, doing things a bit differently. But even without opening up with the Void Rays, he found a way to make his semi-aggressive style while still taking a lot of bases work very effectively. And the map that will decide the fate of this these two players is going to be Bell Shear Vestige.
The best map.
Best map for Protoss, just overall time.
Overall.
All right, well.
For Protoss, no, overall.
it's been in the pool for a very long time. This is, of the maps that these players have been playing, this and Whirlwind, easily the most comfortable. Any strategies they have, almost going to be 100% tailored to this map with how much experience they have on it. And I guess that brings up the next question. The maps that SOS have been comfortable on, he's gone for this, this Void Ray opening, but I don't think he actually needs to do that. He just needs to keep up his aggression and defend well.
Yeah, I guess if Curious does not completely trick SOS, it feels like SOS has an edge. Curious needs to make something special happen, like do a mutat transition. That's what's been working for him so far. But in this game, I feel like SOS played super safe not to let this happen with the hallucinated phoenixes all the time, making sure he will spot everything.
Yeah, and well, guys, we are here. We are loaded into the final map for this best of 5. This Protoss versus Zerg, it is going to be Bell Shear Vestige at the Intel Extreme Masters. We have Curious facing off against SOS. It's been 4 grueling games, but only one may advance. It's time. Welcome to Bell Shear Vestige, spawning in the top left position as the red Zerg player from Team StarTale. It is Curious. What a great series it's been so far.
Oh, yes.
And his opponent in the bottom right position, the blue Protoss player from Wunjin Stars. It is SOS.
SOS opening up this time with a pylon behind his mineral line, so I think we are going to see a Forge expand just like in the first game this time, possibly with the Nexus being made and then the Forge in the main.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively safe way to go, and I understand that. Part of the idea behind it is that you have the Forge there, you won't lose it if there's some sort of early Zergling attack. I'm not necessarily the best at explaining it, but I feel like that's a general way that it goes, being able to hold off something like a fast pool.
Wow, and Curious is actually going for Hatch first, which surprises me. You know why?
This is a great cannon rush map.
Yes, and SOS is one of the best. And he almost always does it, almost always. I think this is one of the first time that I've seen him do something different than cannon rush, or at least make sure that the Zerg doesn't go for Hatch first.
Well, I mean, he goes for the Nexus first, so I mean, they're be playing on economically on par. The probe is still going out to scout, and I'm wondering, if he does get the Forge immediately, there's no opportunity. If he goes double hatchery, he could still do it.
Okay,
the spawning pool's going.
Yes, this drone was just to make sure the trademark of SOS does not happen here with the cannon rush.
He patrolled like this on Polar Night as well to check for any kind of early probe conniving.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice. SOS, he did a cannon rush on Polar Night against TLO, I think it was.
Ah. He's such a dangerous player. He's all these tools in front of him. But the probe goes to check for that third base, and it will be taken. The Overlord sees that SOS went Nexus.
No, I'm sorry, it was Zest who did it against TLO, but usually when a Korean knows about this kind of cannon rush that nobody else knows about, most other top Korean players know about it too. And the cannon rush that Zest did against TLO on Polar Night was something I had never seen, something that TLO had never seen. It looked very scary. So if SOS knows it, this could be good too. But on this map, did not choose to go for it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Double gas on standard timing. Cannon gonna start right on time to make sure he does not take any damage from Zerglings.
I mean, it feels like it comes all the way back down to how we were previewing this match. Neither player likely to give up an opportunity to get into the later stages of the game. Why risk it? This is the last game of this match. This is the final game of this best of 5. You really want to risk it on something like a cannon rush?
You don't.
No.
The winner of this match moves on to the semifinals. This is a big deal. Everything is on the line here.
Yeah, it's not worth risking over a cannon rush. But as far as the setups have, both players very standard. There is a probe tucked away on the right side. And Curious has Zerglings hunting around for that probe, of course. If he keeps it on the field in the later stages of the game before an Overlord could spot a probe leaving the base of SOS, then maybe he can get a proxy piling up. He has the option to go for pressure later on. He's getting a pretty quick +1 attack. I feel like this is a bit different than the way he's opened up mostly before.
I don't think he can get the Stargate at this point because he's going to have to... Okay, never mind.
just delays his warp gate. So he's invested more into that tech. But with the +1 attack and the Stargate, this is different than the way he's opened prior.
I think if he goes for 3 additional gateways behind his Stargates, he could go for a Phoenix plus Zealot timing, which is pretty old school as well and has done very well for some Protosses in the past. So let's see. Okay, he starts a 3rd assimilator, just a 3rd one.
So here's the other cool thing I think about this. The Overlord did come in and see the Stargate, but that's kind of been what SOS has been doing this whole match, or at least for a large portion of it. But the positioning of the Forge means he doesn't actually have the information that +1 attack is coming as well. So he doesn't know quite what to expect. And I feel like that timing that you mentioned with the +1 and the Phoenix is definitely an option. There comes the Phoenix production.
Yeah, but since he took the 2 gases on his natural and didn't add gateways just yet, I have a feeling this is just going to be a 3rd base, but he still has the hidden probe out on the map. We are going to have to keep an eye on that little cheeky probe.
I mean, worst comes to worst. If Curious doesn't go for any type of early Roach play, there's still the potential to throw a few Zealots there to try to harass the 3rd. And the Overlord does come in. He does see that this Forge is going. And now we have
2 more gateways, yeah. So I think he's going to start sending that probe over to the top right-hand side very, very soon. And you know what? Curious, already having cleared the top right-hand side of the map, he doesn't have any Overlords there. He's not checking with Zerglings right now. This could be dangerous. If 4 Zealots are warped in, this is going to start doing a lot of damage with the additional 5th. Oh, the Phoenixes, they maybe should leave the Zergling here. One of those links, he's going to see the probe maybe.
It's very interesting. I mean, the Roach Horn is halfway done. All he can produce are Zerglings. With +1 attack, those Zealots trade very well against them.
Wow.
And of course, the Phoenix here to help lift up any other units.
The probe just barely missed the Zergling there, and he's going to start proxying even more pylons now.
Hide-and-go-seek champion of IEM, of Intel Extreme Masters New York right there. He has these Phoenix still here as well. The Robotics still is coming up. He's covering his transitions, and once again, we see a pretty quick burrow from Curious.
Yeah, and he starts some roaches. He should be fine.
Man,
somehow he identified this. SOS didn't do the best job of trying to hide this as much as possible. And he should have also faked taking a 3rd. That would really have maybe made Curious a little bit less worried about this, because now he was really trying to scout it as much as possible.
Yeah, especially with the Zergling there spotting it. The Zealots will be able to get inside. He picks off a Queen, but these Roaches can kite these Zealots all day, and kind of wondering, is he going to try to retreat with these? He's just going to try to run back. I mean, the Roach speed is on the way, but can't quite catch up to those Protoss forces just yet. Now with the Robotics facility finishing up, where does he go from here? Is he just going to go into Colossi again?
Well, the Queen in the main is going to die, I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah, going into Colossus is the logic move here by SOS, and going into a 3rd base as well. I don't think he wants to all in on 2 bases. He's still making probes, he's queued a whole bunch of them. And picking off those roaches here is pretty nice, because he's basically making sure there's going to be a lot less units able to attack him later on when he tries and take a 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, the Zergling is still there to spot the 3rd base of SOS.
Yeah, he's seeing a lot of units being made right now, which is because he hasn't started a 3rd base. So I think Curious might be worried he's up against a 2-base timing. That's why he's making this many units right now.
It's really interesting because this hasn't been a popular choice from SOS in this series. And, trying to grab another one. It does manage to barely slip away. And now the units are moving over. The Army for SOS is going to clean up that Zergling on the 3rd base. We could see that begin, but the Infestation Pit is on the way as well. The Hydralisk Den. Curious is getting everything together, and these Roaches are coming in. They'd be able to grab this tiny army out of position. The Zerglings as well. There's the force fields trying to lock them out. Some of the Roaches still able to fire. They could try to run in, just worry about additional force fields. 2 cannons blocking that wall are actually very nice defensive aid for SOS.
Yeah, he needs to bring back the Phoenixes to really help defend against this. And the Zerglings on the 3rd base, they're going to delay it quite a lot. We are at the 11th minute, and the 3rd base hasn't started for SOS here. So this is very, very different than the game we've seen before.
And I'm wondering where the Observer is, because there is a Burrow available for Curious. He could block this base for a little bit. The only Observer he has is actually over the Burrowed Roaches at the front. So Curious is taking advantage of those upgrades that he's had the whole game.
The thing is, Curious is committing quite heavily to producing units right now. He's on 66 drones against 50 probes, but he hasn't he doesn't have any transition planned. He's only getting roaches and hydralisks. He's not getting a Spire just yet. He's not getting an infestation pit. If this does not do any damage and SOS gets, say, 3 to 4 Colossus, he's going to be in a good position, I think, to possibly attack and, well, do damage or win the game right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to put out the Hydralisks. He does have the Hive on the way.
Yeah, actually, he had the Infestation Pit. I didn't see, so starting the Hive, he's actually in a great position right now.
Yeah, he got his Infestation Pit around 10 minutes. He didn't do too much with it. It looks like he just wanted to rush towards the Hive. The Colossi have actually becoming a bigger and bigger part of the composition for SOS as this match has gone on. There were almost none in the first game. The Roach is trying to pressure the front. There's additional cannon being brought in here. Manages to unpower one of the cannons. Hydralisk range is about to complete. But still, no third Nexus started yet. That's Zergling blocking it.
Yeah, what a bad boy.
Yeah, that's really annoying. Even if you have the Observer, they're not necessarily the fastest units in the game to break.
Oh, the Colossus has to be careful here. Only 2 sentries with it, and those Roaches are being so annoying.
And the Phoenix come in, starting to pick off a few more of these drones. The Roach is pressing the Natural, though, grabbing another cannon and trying to run away. Gets force fielded in, wants to focus down the sentries, does manage to grab them. The Colossus is still here, has to wait for the Observer. These Phoenix being shot back, but he does confirm that the Hive is under construction.
The third base is going to get cancelled. The third base gets cancelled again.
All directions, the Zerglings and Roaches shut it down. Curious is really keeping the momentum of this game in his favor.
Wow, Curious behind this, he just has to get a lot of Hydralisks, Vipers, and it's going to be almost impossible for SOS to make this work. He has only Colossus, he's only on 2 bases. There is no way in hell he's going to be getting Templars anytime soon. And without Templars against Roach, Hydra, Viper, with only Colossus, you're going to be in trouble a lot of the time.
He's been denied that comfortable economic position that he was mostly granted the last few games. Phoenix still trying to come up here. They know there's a 4th base, pick up the Queen, but 4 Vipers are about to come out. Todd, you were mentioning this. The Phoenix, really all he has as far as being able to pick those off, but the Hydra's managed to grab 2 for free.
And he's actually, okay, SOS, I'm surprised. When you're this low on economy, you don't usually try to go for Templars, but it's SOS. He's still gonna try to go for it because he can make it work somehow, maybe. You see, he's rushing the gases on his 3rd base because he knows he's so far behind in gas and he's gonna need a lot of Templars to deal with those Vipers. And seeing the Hive was huge. He knows exactly what he's gonna be up against. Now, even knowing he's behind, he can maybe still make this happen.
Yeah, it's just going to take a lot of great control. He does shove these Roaches back. They were trying to pressure that 3rd base again, but I'm mostly wondering when he tries to get aggressive again. There are those Vipers, and they're the doomsayers for SOS. He does not have everything he needs to deal with them. I'm wondering, does he even have the mobility for the Stalkers? No blink either, so he's very limited. And now we see, streaming down the field, plenty of Zerg forces, many a Hydralisk, many a Roach. And with these Vipers, with the amount of energy they have, he should be able to pull out a lot of these Abducts.
3 Templars ready, 4 Vipers. It's all going to come down to the feedback and Abducts.
Can he get them? The Vipers trying to get close. He's actually just going to chew away at the Nexus. If the Protoss army doesn't come closer, here they come. Gets the feedbacks off. Only 1 Viper remains. No Abducts on the Colossi. He has 5 of them pressing forward, shoving this Zerg army back. He keeps the Nexus alive with half of its health, and a fantastic hold by SOS. Not dying to the Vipers just yet. There's a bit of a counterattack trying to hit the natural expansion at the same time, but that will not be doing too much for the StarTale Zerg player.
I have no idea how he does it, but he made it happen here. He held beautifully, losing almost nothing. He's got 5 Colossi, he's got Templar Tech now, he's got 2 Forge actually. He's getting 2-2 and adding 3 extra gateways. I think if SOS goes for a timing very, very soon when he's gonna be almost maxed, it's gonna be close to impossible for Curious to hold this. Upgrade-wise, he's getting level 2 Zerg missile attacks, and I mean, being up against 2-1, maybe even 2-2, I just don't see it happening anymore for Curious.
It's going to be really difficult. He has the Greater Spire on the way. There's still a couple Phoenix in the field, but he's trying to press the 3rd and the Natural at the same time. The army positioning is okay to cover the Natural. Where is the protection by the 3rd base? The shields on the Nexus never had time to regenerate. He kills it off, grabs the cannon, also the building one perhaps, and these Zealots not able to do too much to stop this. The Storm is halfway done, the charge is coming, but there's no more fresh income for the Protoss player. Curious has that 4th. He's transitioning 23 Mutalisks on the production tab. Still has the Greater Spire, building those defensive spine crawlers to cover himself from any type of base trade scenario. This is actually going to get very difficult in terms of the decision-making goes for the Protoss.
And SOS kind of fell apart here. He didn't split his army well enough, and I really thought that he was going to be able to just make Stalkers from there because he had everything else, move across the map, start killing bases, and win the game from there. But no, Curious was relentless. He kept on attacking, he splits his units just right, and now with the Muta transition, he's gonna pin down his opponent in his base in a defensive posture, which is exactly what you want to do when you're on 5 base against just 3. Really well played in this game by Curious.
The Mutalisks. There's 4 Phoenix, not enough to stop this. He's trying to produce them, but only trickling them out one at a time from that single Stargate. And I still think there's no blink. It's only on the way. The third base potentially going to get sniped off again by this Roach Hydralisk force. He does try to retreat. No force field is able to lock this in. The Colossi, useless versus this Mutalisk Swarm that's just running in. A Storm does hit them, but if the Mutalisks can get away, they have very quick health regeneration. It's so hard to finish them off. And he's just, no photon overcharge yet. There it is, finally. The Phoenix are trying to get on top of this, but every time he takes a fight, the Phoenix loses a little bit of health, and the Mothership Core now in danger of getting sniped. He's actually being pulled around quite a bit by these Protoss forces, and here we have SOS also deciding to push out at the same time. He's trying to make something happen, does get a nice storm on these Roaches and Hydralisks, but is it going to be enough? He still maintains a very comfortable supply lead. He's just going to press in towards that third base, maybe say, I can't save my units, but at least I can try to deny this third one last time.
Nice
trying
save.
to focus down these probes. No luck just yet with the great Archon morphing in there. He just burrows. Where's the Observer? Mutalisk still running around picking off everything in sight.
And Curious is still on 5 bases. In the meantime, he's got his Greater Spire, getting now a few Broodlords, 5 Broodlords morphing right now. I think for SOS here, you have to attack. You cannot keep on waiting. He's not even mining anymore from his main. He's mined out. No probes on the natural. Roach is burrowed on the third base. This is brilliant here by Curious.
Those Hydralisks will kill those probes faster than anything, and the Mutalisks continuing to just grab the tech left and right, now chewing away at those probes. Those Broodlords, no response, ready for this. The Colossi going to try to fight on their own, but it's not enough. GG, Curious advances here at the Intel Extreme Masters New York against SOS. A fantastic best of 5 all the way down to the wire, Todd, for this series.
So our first semifinals will be a Zerg versus Zerg later on, but first we're gonna have another Zerg versus Zerg, Hyun versus Dongregu, and then Naniwa-san a little bit later on. So at least one more Zerg and one more Protoss in the semifinals. I have to say, this series was so impressive. No matter if you play Zerg, Protoss, or Terran, you should look to it and try and learn something, because these players, they played their heart out, and it really showed.
You absolutely cannot fault SOS in that series. Both of them played so well. The mistakes, very few from both of them. It was just really incredible. I had to say exactly, if you want to learn PvZ, you want to pick up some strategies, I'd say look at these games. These were fantastic. These two players really showing why they're here in this tournament, how good they are. I almost feel sad that I can't see both of them advance at this point. That play was incredible. We'll see more of SOS in the future, I'm sure. This kid is good. He is. He is. Any final thoughts on the series, Todd, as far as that match went? I kind of was pulling for SOS in the earlier
I can
stages.
clearly see their mistakes, and I think in the last game SOS could have won if he just split a little bit better and hit the timing I was talking about with adding a lot of stalkers, getting blinked maybe a little bit earlier as well. So, but it was also Curious forcing mistakes out of his opponent. So I'm glad for him that he's made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic play from both of our players, and we have an interview with the winner ready on the main stage, taking it over to Smix.
Guys, I am here with Curious after an amazing series. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. It was so close. SOS, obviously an amazing player, known for having great PvZ. I really just didn't know which way it was going to go, but in the end, Curious pulled through. 이제 김유준 선수 저그전으로 진짜 잘하는 선수로 유명한데 그런 것 때문에 이제 경기 시작하기 전에 좀 긴장했어요?
네, 긴장 좀 됐고요. 제가 예전에 그 코드 A에서 김유진 선수한테 진 적이 있어요. 그래서 이번에 만나게 됐는데 복수해야겠다는 생각으로 게임한 것 같아요.
So I asked, SOS is known for having really good PvZ. Were you nervous before this match knowing that? And he said, yeah, actually in the past, in a Code A qualifier, I actually played against him and I lost. So because of that, before this match, I went into it thinking I want to get revenge for that, and I was able to. 그러면 이제 5경기까지 갔어요. 경기 5개를 하면서 무슨 생각을 하면서 했어요?
그냥 이겨야겠다는 생각했고요. 마지막 경기 때는 좀 승리를 좀 직감한 것 같아요. 마지막 경기 때는 승리를 직감한 것 같아요.
So I asked him throughout all those 5 games, how are you feeling? Because obviously, I'm sure it was an emotional roller coaster. And he said, obviously, the whole time I was just thinking, I just need to win, I need to win. And then once I reached the 5th game, because I was at such an advantage, I thought, finally, victory is mine. 마지막으로 팬들 엄청 오셨는데 팬들에게만 한마디만 해주세요.
제가 이번에 4강까지 가게 됐는데 어떻게 보면은 우승할 수 있는 기회가 찾아온 것 같아요. 예, 그래서 내일도 재밌는 경기 많이 보여드릴 테니까 예, 많은 응원 부탁드리겠습니다.
So I was curious, what does he have to say to all of you guys that are here today? And he says, now I'm in the round of 4. This is a really, really good chance for me to actually make it to the finals and win the entire tournament. So he says, I'll try to show amazing games for you guys. So please, please keep cheering for me and watch out for my games. Thank you so much, Curious, for this amazing interview. Guys, keep cheering for him. Stay tuned. We're going to have an analysis of these games.
Thanks very much, Smix. As you can see, Curious, he's going all the way, man. I believe in Curious. But now, we get on to this series. Obviously, it was a very, very long series, lots and lots of in and outs. But one thing that really, really stood out during the entirety of those games, not only from Curious's point of view, but also SOS's as well, is their absolute dedication to multi-pronged attacks time and time again. But in game number 3 here, as we just continue on a little bit with this game, we see that Curious is so careful about trying to delay this 3rd base as much as possible. Belshir Vestige, to be honest with you, is a little bit of a harder map nowadays, I feel, for Protoss against Zergs. And one thing Curious does so well throughout all of these games is splitting up his roaches as well as hydralisks, just any form of units. Normally you see Zergs running around in a big ball with those units and just taking engagements in one location, not really doing too much. But whilst we see here Curious always being able to deny the 3rd and over, he always still has units over the right-hand side as well to also try and do some pressure at the main wall. Now, going on further into this game, the story just basically continued. We saw Curious constantly doing this. This 3rd died and got cancelled many a time. And unfortunately for SOS, he really didn't have the economical standpoint to ever rival what would be considered to be a 4-base, 2-5-base Curious here, where he feels completely in his element. And unfortunately for SOS, just never really had enough units to be able to fend off all of these locations, as well as the Nexus ends up dying again during all of this. So, unfortunately for SOS, as much as he is one of the best Protoss in the world, if not the best Protoss in the world, according to a lot of Protosses out there, Curious is looking a bit of a monster this time. I'm not quite sure who's going to be able to stop him here, but that's going to do it for the analysis over here at the analysis screen. I'm going to send it over to Paul Red-Eye Channeler with some more IEM action.
It's all about the glow sticks. That's what it's all about. Good job there, James, with the double-breasted glow stick. I like that setup. It's very nice. Another stunning quarterfinal in the history books at the Intel Extreme Masters. We have another one coming up as well, but before then, let me just remind you that we are available via social media on all the usual channels, facebook.com/Intel Extreme Masters, and don't forget on Twitter, make sure you use the hashtag #IEM. Coming up next is our 3rd quarterfinal. Will he be raising your dongers, or will it be unbelievable? We'll find out soon.
This is it. That mighty thing. That thinks, blinks, and winks. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. You can even bedazzle it and make it loud. It comes in black, it comes in white. It comes in orange. What a sight. You can spin it and make it dance. Anything is possible when given the chance. It can say everything about you, or very little at all. It can fit in your pocket, on a desk, or on the wall. And it comes in sizes from big to small. From tablets to smartphones to all-in-ones. It can be used for work, for fun, and even both with the 2-in-1. But there's something meaningful beyond the bling that makes them run and do their thing. It's quite a special, hard-to-see part. The brain, the brawn, and the beating heart. And if you manage to set the rest aside, you'll come to realize the most important part is inside.
professional-grade communication tool. The choice of professional teams. Perfect stream viewing experience. Chosen by online streamers. Easy-to-use voice messenger service. Chosen by over 12 million gamers.
Communication is always vital when competing in tournaments. Winning a match requires perfect coordination. You cannot win by yourself.
Raid Call. Communication for winners.